An LTM 1230-5.1 travels through the legendary Scottish Highlands. Its destination is just over 200 kilometres away as the crow flies, but the crane will take 4 whole days to reach its destination. Its destination? A distillery where a boiler needs to be installed. Its route initially leads along small roads through breathtaking landscapes. After a 2-hour journey, it reaches Loch Ness, a stopover for the 230-ton crane at the harbour.
So the crane was completely stripped down, the fly jib, the hook block and all the counterweight off the crane to take the crane down to a maximum of 60 tonne for travelling on our road.
From here, it continues its journey on board the landing craft Carly.
In 2022, Stoddart Crane Hire were approached by White & Mackay to plan and logistically get their boiler to site. Unfortunately, due to restraints with Calmac, with the ferry service, the axle loadings on the crane were too high. So we discussed planning with Ferguson Transport and Shipping to take the boiler and the crane in by sea from Kishorn on a landing craft.
To ensure the transport by water runs smoothly, the weather and sea conditions must be right. The LTM 1230-5.1 will spend 2 days and nights on board the Carly, cruising through the islands of the Inner Hebrides. After 130 nautical miles, i.e. 250 kilometres, the Carly will reach the island of Jura, where it will return to land in the Bay of Small Isles via a temporary jetty that was built especially for the landing of the 230-ton vessel. However, before the mobile crane can get solid ground under its wheels, it first has to wait for the tide. The tide at the jetty is 1 metre. Only when the maximum tide has been reached can the unloading of the crane begin. The team from Stoddart Crane Hire routinely takes their LTM off the ship. This is nothing unusual for them.
Yeah, we work on islands weekly. We always have cranes working on the islands. Another interesting job at the moment, we're working up on Unst, which is the most northerly point of the UK, where we're building a space station just now for launching rockets.
There are now only a few kilometres to go to the site. There is only one road on Jura. However, it is not designed for heavy loads such as those of the 230-ton cranes. To reduce the ground pressure, the track was therefore protected with metal plates.
The distance from our temporary slipway to the site was a total of 2 miles. This was the shortest route for taking the equipment in. There was the public terminal, which was a 10-mile trip, but unfortunately due to the road conditions and the roads built on peat, we felt that this was not the way forward for the movement. The narrow roads can become difficult for us, but we pick our cranes wisely for these jobs, and thankfully to Liebherr's product with removable ballast and taking crane weights down excessively, it makes a big difference for us on the narrow roads.
As planned, the crane reaches its destination, the Jura Distillery in Craighouse, after 4 days. Now it's just a case of reversing up the hill and manoeuvring through the narrow company premises. No problem, thanks to the traction gearbox and hill start aid. This deployment was planned and tested for feasibility for 2 years. Even divers are involved in the construction of the temporary jetty. A new boiler will be installed here tomorrow. It is part of the modernisation project of one of Scotland's oldest distilleries.
The reason for the project is basically to lessen the carbon footprint that the company we are making as a whole in White and Mackay. So this is our first biomass burner to go in on site, with hopefully more to follow in the future with this being successful, getting rid of the use of fossil fuels and moving to more sustainable and renewable sources. We're in warehouse number 1, accompanied by 5,000 to 6,000 bourbon barrel casks. Jura is one of the oldest distilleries on Scotland you'll find making malt whisky. I think the best whisky in Scotland comes from the areas where you can get the most pure water. Our water is all sourced naturally from the Market Loch, so it's about a mile north of the distillery here. Jura's often mistaken in thinking that when you go to Jura you're going to get a peated whisky. But the majority of our spirit, completely unpeated, light, fruity, vibrant. Lovely.
One week after the LTM 1230-5.1 started in Muir of Ord, the headquarters of Stoddart Crane Hire, the time has finally come. The lifting begins. Crane and crew defy the pouring rain. After all, the schedule is tightly timed. The tides dictate the time for the crane's return journey on the landing ferry. When a maximum flood level is reached again in 4 hours, the operation must be completed. Everything goes according to plan.
The boiler's total weight was 40 tonne in weight, which we reversed to the front of the crane and picked up at a 14-metre radius and positioned at a 14-metre radius onto the plinth.
After the work is done, there's even time for a drink at the bar of the Jura Hotel. But only with a diluted Coke for the final photo. Thanks guys, and cheers. Or rather, in Gaelic, sláinte.